The town of Black Hollow had always been the kind of place people forgot existed. Tucked between the woods and the mountains, it was the kind of sleepy village where time stood still and nothing ever happened, at least on the surface. But beneath its calm cobblestone streets, something ancient stirred. Jack Merrow had spent most of his life stealing. He wasn't the kind of criminal who robbed out of necessity. He did it for the thrill, the adrenaline, the rush of walking into a place and walking out richer. But his latest tip had come from a source he didn't trust. A grizzled old man with cataracts and whiskey breath, who muttered of cursed gold and hidden treasures. According to the old man, the Black Hollow Savings Bank wasn't just a rural relic. It was the vault for something far more valuable than paper bills or coins. Witches, he said. Witches who had lived in Black Hollow for centuries. Witches who had stashed their ancient treasures in the basement of that bank, guarded not by alarms or cameras, but by enchantments and old blood pacts. Jack had laughed then, but the story stuck with him like a splinter. He couldn't shake it, and greed, being stronger than caution, led him to Black Hollow. Under the cover of night, the town was dead silent when Jack arrived. Fog hung low over the ground, curling like fingers through the streets. The bank stood at the corner of Main and Elm, a squat stone building with iron-barred windows and ivy crawling up its sides. It looked more like a mausoleum than a financial institution. Jack scoped out the place for 3 days, noting the routines, the exits, and the ancient lock on the back door. No alarms, no guards. Too easy. He made his move on the 4th night, dressed in black. He crept through the shadows and picked the lock with ease. The door groaned open like it hadn't moved in decades. Inside, the air was stale, thick with dust and something else, something coppery and old, like dried blood and rust. He slipped inside, closing the door behind him. The lobby was eerily preserved, with leather chairs and brass fixtures that hadn't been updated since the 1930s. Single bulb flickered above the telecounter. He felt eyes on him, but he saw no cameras, no motion sensors, only portraits on the walls, sepia-toned photos of long-dead men and women, their eyes too sharp, too knowing. Ignoring the chill crawling up his spine, Jack made his way to the vault door. It was massive and archaic, with a strange sigil etched into the metal that pulsed faintly in the dim light. He pulled out his tools and began to work. To his surprise, the tumblers clicked open within minutes. The door creaked outward on rusted hinges, revealing a spiral staircase descending into darkness. He hesitated. Banks didn't usually have stairs behind their vaults, but treasure didn't come easy. He descended slowly, flashlight in hand. The stone walls grew colder with each step, and the air grew heavy, thick with incense and decay. At the bottom, he found a narrow corridor, lined with doors, each marked with symbols he didn't recognize. The hallway curved like a serpent, leading him deeper into the earth. He chose a door at random, prying it open with his crowbar. Inside was a small room, lit by a single candle that never seemed to burn down. Shelves lined the walls, stacked with grimoires, jars of preserved eyes, and gold coins older than any kingdom he knew. He grabbed the coins, stuffing them into his bag. The candle flickered. He heard footsteps behind him, slow, deliberate, scraping against stone. He spun around, flashlight beams shaking, but the hallway was empty. He stepped out, heart pounding, and turned back to seal the door. But it was gone. The wall was smooth stone. Panic rose in his throat. He staggered back, nearly tripping over a new door that hadn't been there before. He opened it, thinking it might be the way out, But inside was only darkness. He heard whispering, chanting, a voice that echoed inside his skull, speaking in a language that made his ears bleed. He slammed it shut. More doors appeared along the hallway, each opening with ease, each revealing impossible things. A room filled with dolls that blinked in unison, a chamber where gravity reversed, sending bones tumbling upward into the ceiling, a vault where time looped infinitely, trapping his reflection in eternal screaming. He ran. The corridor stretched endlessly, spiraling down instead of forward. His bag felt heavier with every step, the coins vibrating against each other. Singing in low, mournful tones, his flashlight began to dim, even with new batteries. Then he saw the first one. A woman, tall and gaunt, standing at the far end of the hallway. Her eyes were hollow pits of ash, her mouth stitched shut with silver thread. She raised a hand and the walls groaned, shifting like flesh. Jack turned and fled, but the way he came no longer existed. The walls twisted behind him, sealing off his path, forcing him deeper. Rooms flickered into existence beside him, offering false hope. Some showed memories from his life. His mother dying in a hospital bed, his first kill, the woman he betrayed in Prague. Every step took him closer to madness. Then, without warning, the corridor opened into a vast chamber. In its center stood a stone altar, and upon it a book bound in human skin. Surrounding the altar were witches, dozens of them, young, old, hideous, beautiful. They stood in silence, watching him. One stepped forward. "You stole from us," she hissed, her voice layered with thousands of others. "You woke what was meant to sleep." Jack tried to run, but his legs wouldn't move. The bag of gold burst open, spilling onto the floor. Each coin pulsed with a heartbeat, echoing through the chamber. "You took our blood price," another witch said. "Now it must be paid." They began to chant. The chamber spun. Jack screamed. His body lifted from the ground, limbs flailing. Shadows wrapped around him like vines, sinking into his skin. He felt his bones twist, his flesh stretch, his soul unravel. The witches laughed, voices rising in a cacophony of centuries-old hunger. When it was done, he collapsed to the floor, but it wasn't him anymore. His eyes glowed with ancient light. His hands were not his own. He had become the new guardian. The witches vanished. The chamber went silent, and the vault door creaked closed above him. Decades passed. The bank remained untouched. The townsfolk of Black Hollow continued their quiet lives, never questioning the bank that no one visited. Occasionally, a drifter would pass through, drawn by whispers of gold, but none ever returned. Beneath the town, Jack waited, not as a man, but as a sentinel, eternally guarding the witch's treasures. Trapped in a prison of greed and regret, his mind slowly slipping into the dark. Sometimes, in the silence, he could still hear the coins singing, and the witches laughing, waiting for the next fool, waiting for the next thief. In the years that followed Jack's disappearance, legends about the Black Hollow Bank started to circulate among the criminal underworld. Stories of a silent town with no police force, an unguarded bank, and whispers of treasures beneath its foundation drew more eyes toward the place. But something always went wrong. Every thief who entered the bank vanished, and none could explain why. Those few who investigated never found anything strange. The vault was sealed tight, the building undisturbed. But if they listened closely, just past midnight, they could hear a low hum from beneath the stone, like 1,000 voices murmuring, in unison. Some called it the echo of the earth, others, the breath of the witches. One night, a young woman named Ray entered the town under a false name. She was no petty thief. She was a professional. She had cracked systems in Tokyo, Moscow, and Dubai. What intrigued her about Black Hollow wasn't the gold or the rumors. It was the pattern. Disappearances. Silence. The smell of something buried deep. She walked through the town with calculated ease. The people watched her with wary eyes, as if they knew her purpose without asking. No one warned her, but no one welcomed her either. Ray scoped the bank like Jack had, noting its archaic features and the eerie calm surrounding it. She didn't believe in curses or magic. What she believed in was logic, and something in this, and town defied all of it. That made her want to crack it even more. She broke in on the 6th night. Her tools were digital, sleek, silent drills, electromagnetic picks, infrared scopes, but none of them prepared her for what was waiting behind their vault. Like Jack, she found the spiral staircase. Like Jack, she descended into the cold. But unlike Jack, she came prepared. She had mapped the area through ground-penetrating radar. She knew there was a hidden space beneath the town. What she didn't know was how it constantly shifted, how it bent reality itself to protect its secrets. She entered the first corridor, flashlight steady, weapons ready. The doors appeared the moment she stepped in, each marked by glyphs her computer couldn't identify. She tried to photograph them, but the images corrupted instantly. One door opened on its own. She stepped inside and saw herself, 10 years younger, sitting at a kitchen table with her brother, laughing. Then the scene dissolved into blood, screams, and the moment her brother was taken from her, the pain she had buried for years ripped through her like a blade. She staggered back out, shaken. In the years that followed Jack's disappearance, legends about the Black Hollow Bank started to circulate among the criminal underworld. Stories of a silent town with no police force, an unguarded bank, and whispers of treasures beneath its foundation drew more eyes toward the place. But something always went wrong. Every thief who entered the bank vanished, and none could explain why.